श्रीमान वेंकटनाथार्य कवितार्किक केसरी वेदांताचार्य वर्यो मे सन्निधत्तां सदा हृदि श्रीवासरंग परकाल मुनित्रयाप्त लक्ष्मात्मरक्षणैतित्योगागमान्तम् आचार्य भक्ति परिपूत मनर्गशीलं गोपाल देशिक मुनिं गुरुमाश्रयामः व्यासं वसिष्ठ नप्तारं शक्ते पौत्रमकल्मषं पराशरात्मजं वन्दे सुखतातं तपोनिधिं व्यासाय विष्णुरूपाय व्यासरूपाय विष्णवे नमो वै ब्रह्मनिधये वासिष्ठाय नमो नमः। यत्र योगेश्वर कृष्णो यत्र पार्थो धनुर्धरः तत्र श्रीर्विजयो भूतिर्ध्रुवा नीतिर्मतिर्मम. So last week we enjoyed little bit a tinge of Bhagavad Gita, the entry into the Kurukshetra battlefield. So as I was mentioning, the Kurukshetra battlefield, when Arjuna was driven by Krishna as the divine chauffeur, the divine chariot driver, chauffeur, Sarathi. So Arjuna is Partha, so he is called Partha Sarathi. And he said, I would like to go in between the two armies for me to have a look at the army. And then he brought in, then rest is the Bhagavad Gita. That's how last time we finished with it. However, I would like to start with I also mentioned about Swami Alavandar, Yamunacharya, who is Acharya of Bhagavad Ramanuja. And Bhagavad Ramanuja wrote the commentary on Gita called Gita Bhashyam. Bhashyam is a commentary, extensive commentary on Bhagavad Gita, and hence it is called Sri Gita Bhashyam. And there are very many scholars, acharyas, who have written commentary on Bhagavad Gita. Adi Shankara had written Shankara Bhashyam. Madhva had written Madhva Bhashyam. Based on their interpretations, philosophy, tattvam, but everybody goes to prove and say that Krishna gave Upadesam to Arjuna. So we mentioned that Swami Yamunacharya wrote a summary, Gitartha Sangraham, the summary of Bhagavad Gita. He is the one who wrote the summary of Bhagavad Gita. And the Gitartha Sangraham, the summary of Bhagavad Gita, is beautifully composed by Swami Yamunacharya Alavandar. The one slokam gives the entire summary of the whole Bhagavad Gita. There are 18 chapters in Bhagavad Gita, and one slokam gives the summary of the entire 18 chapters. And of course, the second, third, fourth slokam gives the first 6 chapters, the second 6 chapters, and the third 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita. The fourth slokam onwards, it gives the summary of the individual chapter, 4 to 21. 4 plus 18, 21. So 4 to 21, it gives the entire 18 chapters. So he gives encapsulates the Bhagavad Gita into individual verses, summary, 3-chapter summary, and individual chapter summary. And Ramanuja, when he went through, he saw in unambiguous fashion the beautiful portrayal of what was in Krishna's mind and what was transformed to Arjuna, and what should we learn from it. And why did it come? Why 700 plus slokams came? All that he goes to explain in an extensive manner, inspired by Swami Yamunacharya's Gitartha Sangraham. Of course, later years, Vedanta Desika wrote a commentary called Tatparya Chandrika. Tatparya Chandrika, the moon that reflects the sun's light and gives us the cool rays and enchants our heart. That's Tatparya Chandrika. So he gave his commentary based on Ramanuja's Bhagavad Gita, based on Alavandar's Gitartha Sangraham, and gave his wonderful explanation in a simpler form for us to understand. Swami Vedanta Desika also wrote in Tamil in verse form Gitartha Sangraham, exactly like Yamunacharya's Gitartha Sangraham. Yamunacharya's Alavandas was in Sanskrit, Desikan wrote in Tamil. For us who are ignoramus, who are non-Sanskrit people, he wrote in Tamil. So we are going to enjoy all of them besides along with Ramanuja's Gita Bhashya. Don't get scared. We are not going to extensively go through one by one sloka by one sloka. We will just give the gist of the chapters. So when Ramanuja starts off with his commentary, he first prays to Yamunacharya because he was the Acharyan from whom he got the inspiration on Bhagavad Gita's commentary. So he says, Yat padam boruga dhyana vidvasta shesha kalmashaha vastutam upayatoham yamuneyam namamitam. Yat padam boruga dhyana vidvasta shesha kalmashaha vastutam upayato aham yamuneyam namamitam. I offer my namaskarams, salutations, pranamams, prostrations to Yamunacharya by dhyanam on whom? By dhyanam on his lotus feet. I have all my defects, blemishes, doshams crushed, destroyed, and I attain the status of authentic existence. He made me a vastu, a worthy object. By meditating on Yamunacharya's lotus feet, by paying my namaskarams to Yamunacharya's lotus feet, I have all my defects, doshams destroyed, and I have attained a status of being worthy. Vastu, I became a vastu. Before that I was not at all a vastu, not at all worthy. Now I become a status of authentic existence. What a beautiful manner Swami starts off paying namaskarams to his Acharya's Acharya, Pracharya, from whom he got the inspiration from. And Swami Ramanuja starts off his commentary so beautifully. He says, Sriyapati Akhileheya Pratyaneka Kalyane Katana Swetara Samastu Vilakshana Jnanananda Anandaika Swarupa. He gives a beautiful description of Sriman Narayana. Why did he start with Sriman Narayana? He says Sriman Narayana is the consort, is the divine consort of Sri Mahalakshmi, Sriyapati. Narayana, his identification mark is husband of Mahalakshmi. Generally we say Lakshmi Narasimha, Lata Govinda. The suffix is the husband's name. Here Narayana would like to call himself as Sriyapati. I am the husband of Sri Mahalakshmi. He gives her more position, more right, empowered her. So he is wholly auspicious. Ananta Kalyana Gunaganauga Maharnava is the ocean of all auspicious attributes. And he is completely devoid of all imperfections, completely opposite to all that is evil. So he has got all Kalyana Gunams, all auspicious attributes. Jnanam, Balam, Aishwaryam, Viryam, Shakti, Tejas, and Saulabhyam, Shaushilyam, Vatsalyam, Mardavam, Arjavam, Sauhardam, Samyam, Karunyam, Madhuryam, Gambhiryam, Audaryam, Chaturyam, Stairyam, Dhairyam, Shauryam, Parakramam, Satyakama, Satyashankar. There are infinite Kalyana Gunams Ramanuja mentions. And he stands distinguished by his supreme lordship to all other Jivatmas. So he got the inspiration. He starts off the Gita like this. He got the inspiration from Gita Sangraham, first slokam, which is a summary of the entire 18 chapters. And let's see what is the first slokam. Swadharma Jnana Vairagya Sadhya Bhaktyeka Gocharaha Narayana Param Brahma Gita Shastre Samiritaha. Swadharma Jnana Vairagya Swadharma Jnana Vairagya Sadhya Bhaktyeka Gocharaha. He mentions here the subject matter of Gita Shastra is Sriman Narayana. Swadharma Jnana Vairagya Sadhya Bhaktyeka Gocharaha Narayana Param Brahma Gita Shastre Samiritaha. The subject matter of entire Gita is Sriman Narayana, the Supreme Lord, the highest, the Sarveshwaran, the Sarvajna, Sarvashaktan, and he can be attained within the range of the vision of Bhakti Yogam alone. He can be attained, seen, visualized, meditated within the vision of Bhakti alone. And Bhakti Yogam, how it is possible to attain? By performing Karma Jnana Bhakti Yoga. Karma Jnana Yoga. Swadharma Jnana Vairagya. Swadharma. By performing one's duty. Swadharma, our duty. By performing our duty without attachment. And Jnanam, by the acquisition of true knowledge. And Vairagya, by the detachment or by disengaging ourselves from the worldly desires, the materialistic pursuits. So that's all the slokam is. The subject matter of Gita Shastra is Sriman Narayana, the Supreme Lord, within the range or within the bhakti of Bhakti Yogam, within the vision of Bhakti Yogam, and that bhakti attainable only by performing one's own duty without attachment to the result of the duty, and which will lead, which will culminate in the acquisition of true knowledge. About what? We'll come to it. And by the detachment, disengagement of worldly desires. So, in the scripture known as Bhagavad Gita, Narayana, the Supreme Brahman, is declared, is established. He is attainable only by bhakti. Bhakti means here Bhakti Yoga, which is the upasana, the means of Bhakti Yoga. Sadharana Bhakti will lead to the Bhakti Yoga, of course. He is attainable by bhakti, which is to be brought about by the observance, by adherence, by following, by performing one's own dharma, one's own duty, and which will culminate into acquisition of true knowledge and the disengage from the worldly desires. So this is what is talked about in this. So the Gita Shastra is divided into 3 Shaktas, Shadgam. Shadgam means 6 chapter. First 6 chapter, second 6 chapter, third 6 chapter. The first 6 chapters talks about Karma Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. Just now we talked about the performing one's duty without attachment and acquisition of true knowledge. Karma Jnana Yoga, the first 6 chapters, out of which the first 2 chapters deal with respectively the grief of Arjuna, the sorrow, the anxiety, the depression, the panic, and his confusion, and the necessity for a person to realize that about Jivatma, about the nature of the Jivatma, about the quality of the Jivatma, about the attribute of the Jivatma, to get rid of this sorrow, this grief, this confusion, this anxiety. The first 2 chapters talk about it. The next 4 chapters get into the details, to the means of realizing that Jivatma. How to, okay, I have to realize Jivatma. How do I realize? How do I get the knowledge of the Jivatma? And that is what the third, 4, 5, 6 chapters talk about that. This is we will come to it soon. The second 6 chapters is divided into 2, 3 adhyayams. The second 6 chapters talks about 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. The 7, 8, 9 talks about the competency of a person, the qualification of a person, the prerequisite of a person to perform Bhakti Yoga, and the nature of that Bhakti Yoga. And the 10, 11, 12 chapters talk about the means, the methods, the procedure to be practiced for sprouting of and the growth of Bhakti Yoga. That is the second 6 chapter. It talks about Bhakti Yoga precisely. The first 6 chapters talk about Karma Jnana Yoga. The second 6 chapters talk about Bhakti Yoga. Okay? Karma Jnana Bhakti Yoga is finished. Why don't we finish with 12 chapters in Bhagavad Gita? Why to have another 6 chapters? What's the necessity? Like all of us, Arjuna, he was very intelligent, inquisitive, and he was at crossroads. The moment you try to grasp the meanings of those verses from Bhagavad Gita, from Krishna, he had so many questions, and so he kept on asking. After 12 chapters, he says, one more doubt. So the third shatkam, the third 6, is talking about the dealing with the truth, the tattvams, the entities, the means of attaining the ultimate end, the goal, the purushartha. So it talks about the tattvam, the entities. What are the entities? The means and the end. So this analysis is found in Gitartha Sangraham of Alavandar Yamunacharya, and is explained in Tatparya Chandrika of Nigamanta Desikan in the 13th chapter. So Swadharma Jnana Vairagya Sadhya Bhaktyeka Gocharaha Narayana Param Brahma Gita Sastre Samiritaha. Swadharma, the duties of one's own Varna Ashrama. Nobody chooses our parents, our gender, our richness or poverty, whatever. Nobody chooses anything. We are just pushed into this world to some parents, in some kulam, with some form, with some karma. Karma is a monster. All that we have accumulated over the ages, over the very many thousands of millions of births before, we have accumulated papams, punyams, and one handful of that is pushed into this body, and then the soul enters into that with the associated karma vasana, and we are born into this body like a shirt which we buy and put on. So Swadharma, we are supposed to do our duty of that Varna Ashrama. Varna, whatever the birth that we take, we are supposed to perform certain duties as a student, as an employee, as a husband, as a wife, as a father, as a mother, as a child. Very many roles that we have, and we need to perform that duty, and we need to do that in all sincerity. Okay, and what is the goal here? Later Krishna is going to say, whatever that you do, nothing wrong. Whatever that you do it as a samarpanam to me, regardless of what you do. You can be a doctor, you can have a scalpel, the knife, and you cut somebody's body and the blood comes out, and then you fix something, some issue inside the body, and you close it, he gets all right, he gets cured. Somebody who has cut your body and caused the stitch or the cut on your skin. We reward him with feast and thanksgiving, and we are grateful to that person who cut us, who caused harm to our body. But why did he do? That's his duty. He did it as a samarpanam to Krishna. If he does that without any attachment to the feast, of course he is going to get feast, the reward. He is offering to Krishna, and we are performing. We are doing our duty as an samarpana to the Lord. So when everybody does that in the world as an offering to the Lord and perform our own duties without any attachment to what we get, what are we going to gain by that? The moment you have a fix on the result of the action, we get carried away. We get biased. You continue to do. It's not so important to do what you like to do as to begin to like what you have to do. Continue to do what you have to do, and with all sincerity, to the best of your ability. The intellect is given by the Lord. The discriminatory power, the intellect, the knowledge, the whatever, the buddhi that we have is all the blessing. So it is a disservice to God if we do not maximize the intellect that we are equipped with. So it's not that you have to recite stotra and divya prabandham and prostrate to Perumal, and that's the only thing that Krishna wants. No. Of course, if you do all that, he is happy, pleased. But our own duty we need to perform as an offering to him. There is no that work-life balance here. Everything is life. Everything is an offering to him. Everything is a prayer to him. So swadharma, swajnana, by thinking that the jiva is different from the body. Because this jiva, as I just told you, is taking a new shirt, this body. And this jiva is associated with a lot of karma vasana from the previous births. So because of that, we undergo whatever, whether it is positive, negative, pleasure, pain, we undergo all that, the diseases, the issues, the challenges, whatever. And we cannot change the past. We can definitely change the future by acting, knowing fully well that we are different from the body. Knowing fully well that it is his blessing that we are who we are. And if you do whatever the duty as an offering to him without attachment to the result of the action, we would slowly begin to understand the actual swarupam, the nature of jiva, and the essential natural characteristic quality of the jivatma, and the knowledge that we are completely dependent, or we are completely enslaved, or we need to perform service to him. That's what I mentioned. Yad karoshi, yadasnasi, yad juhoshi, dadasiyat. Yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushva madarpanam. Krishna says, whatever that you do, whatever dhanam that you do, whatever consumption, eating that you do, whatever that you are, yagam that you are performing, aradhanam that you are performing, whatever tapas, penance that you are doing, tat kurushva, you do that as an offering to me. Why should we offer him? Who is he? I am my own. I never consider myself as a dependent on someone. Why should I do that? Good question. That is why here it says Narayana Param Brahma. He is the one who starts off, or he is the one who created us, who supports us, who sustains us. Who is ultimate reality? Who is Parabrahman? As the Upanishads, the Veda Vakyams, the sages were more concerned with finding a solution to the problem of ultimate reality than answering the question as to which is the Supreme Being. Instead of saying which is the Supreme Being, they say who is the Supreme Being, what is the Supreme Being, what is the ultimate reality. The Upanishads so describe that Sat, that they describe as Sat, Brahman, Atman, Paratattvam, Parajyoti, Parabrahman, like that. So there is a beautiful dialogue between Varuna and Bhrigu Maharishi in Taittiriya Upanishad, and where he says, Varuna, and in that Taittiriya Upanishad, they say, Yato va imani bhutani jayante, yena jata na jivanti, yat prayantya vishanti, tad brahmeti. So that from which all these beings are born, that from which all these beings are born, that by which when they are born, they live, they sustain, that unto which when departing, they enter at the end of the dissolution, cosmic dissolution, pralayam. So that from which all these beings are born, and that by which when they are born, they live, that unto which when departing, they enter, desire to know that is Brahman. And that's what here he mentioned. Yato va imani bhutani jayante, yena jata na jivanti, yat prayantya vishanti, tad vijijñāsasva, tad brahmeti. And that Narayana is what is talked about as the Supreme Brahman. Narayana param brahma tattvam Narayana paraha, Narayana paro jyotir atma Narayana paraha, antarbahiccha tat sarvam vyapya Narayana stitaha, Narayana naranam ayanam yasya saga. So Narayana, the name itself, means the one who is housed in everything and in everyone, one who houses everything and everyone in him. So he is there, antar bahiccha tat sarva vyapya Narayana stita. He is there inside and outside of everything and everyone. So Narayana is the Parabrahman, Supreme Brahman. Brahman is the only Purushottama, Narayana. Then the word Param is illustrative of the very many Atmas. He is the Param, he is the ultimate. Perhaps to refute that there is somebody over and above him, he is the ultimate. Shastre, Gita Shastram. Gita is the Shastram. Shastram means Shashanati ki Shastram, the one that instructs. So Shastra means the one that instructs us because of their what do I say, karunyam, compassion. They say Shastra is equivalent to 1,000 mothers. The mother always thinks well-being of the children. The Shastra is equal to 1,000 mothers. Always think well-being of the humanity. So that's why the Shastra is Bhagavad Gita Shastra, and that speaks the truth, the way to attain him. It is purposely called as Gita Shastra, the best of the Shastras. Samiritaha, explained fully and clearly. So this sloka tells us what the gist of Gita Shastra is. The next three slokas tell us in brief the subject matter into the 3 parts of the 6 chapters each, which we will enjoy in the next sessions. So it's not that we are going to just give the sloka by sloka meaning. We are going to enjoy the Gita, Bhagavad Gita, which has been glorified, admired, appreciated all over the world, regardless of their color, creed, gender. They have translated into very many languages, and it does not talk about any particular religion. It is about the way of life. Every one of us is in the role of Arjuna at the crossroads, in a dilemma, anxiety, what to do, which one is the right path, whether I should develop cold feet, suddenly gets panicky, especially with Gen Z. It's very common. The mental health issues are extremely increasing day by day, and this gives a solution. In the sense, it gives an idea, the tip for us to get to know what for, why, what's the purpose of life, where are we going to, what are we going to do. And thereby I am not saying that we should renounce and become a sannyasi. Here it talks about get into it, dive into it and do the best. It talks about the excellence. You will reach the zenith, the highest point of excellence in your respective field, if only we follow what's prescribed by Lord Krishna. Enough said. Adiyan, Dhanyosmi, Kavitarkika Simhaya Kalyana Gunashalini, Srimate Venkateshaya Vedanta Gurave Namaha. Sarvam Sri Krishna Arpanamastu.